This movie contains information which has already been published and is in the public domain on the internet, together with quoted words from articles published in magazines, newspapers, etc., some of which have references. It also contains personal opinions of people, including doctors, lawyers, and representatives of companies. This information is congruent with the ideas of a growing number of people, and there is increasing evidence to support these views. Having stated that, I declare that I make no claim that the words and opinions contained are either true, accurate, or warranted. They represent the interpretations of myself and those presented. In this film, I do not claim to treat or cure any disease, and I advise that the information within is my own personal view on the subjects talked about, and I lay no claim to its validity from another's point of view. I put forward this information to encourage and assist public debate and discussion on these vital issues which I believe are affecting humanity on a global scale. Brian Dodds. My name is Brian Dodds, and I am a health practitioner, medical researcher, and the author of the book Full Regeneration, The Ultimate Health Journey. I reside in Golden Bay, New Zealand. In 1978, I contracted hepatitis and recovered successfully. 5 years later, after receiving a hepatitis B vaccination, I became very sick with a virus that was later identified as HTLV-1. It took me 10 years to recover. During that period, I devoted all my time and energy to research extensively the protocols of vaccination, the structure of HTLV-1, the AIDS virus, connections between vaccines and viral infections, and most importantly, what methods can overcome these infections. The fact that I am fit and well today at 60 years old is a testimony of the research and the protocols I developed. My research pointed to one almost unbelievable but obvious conclusion. The HTLV-1 virus had been in the vaccination that I received, and it was not there by mistake. I did not expect anybody to believe these conclusions, and for the most part my demise was none of their concern. Whether my story has truth or not mattered little in the lives of most people. However, that has now changed. My present research, and that of many doctors, shows that the latest swine flu and the vaccinations scheduled for worldwide distribution follow a questionable scenario. I therefore recommend you to take the time to make your own investigation of the information provided in this movie and take responsibility for yourself and your family in connection with the swine flu vaccination.
It's a bit off the beaten track here in Vienna. It is, however, a significant place, as it turns out. It is the place where Baxter contaminated 72 kilos of vaccine material with the live bird flu, and so nearly triggered a global pandemic just a few months ago in February. This attempt to trigger a pandemic failed because of the alertness of people in the Czech Republic who detected it in a laboratory in biotest. However, it has now turned out that Baxter still has at least a large amount of that 72 kilos of bird flu, and we're coming to a point where we have only perhaps a few weeks until the government here in Austria and other governments around the world intend to start injecting people with so-called swine flu vaccine material, which we have every reason to fear is going to be a big hazard to our health and has been designed to be a hazard to our health.
I understand the information provided already may be disturbing, but rather than give you more details on contamination, it may be more informative to provide you some background of viruses and their subsequent vaccines. To do so, let's look at the most famous virus of our present age, AIDS. We are told that the AIDS virus came from green monkeys and randomly broke out in Africa. Why are we never told how that happened, or given a scientific hypothesis of that process? The only person who ever gave me a feasible answer was a doctor by the name of Robert Strecker. Dr. Strecker wrote extensive reports and even made a documentary movie about his findings. But his theories have never been allowed to reach the mainstream media.
I'm Dr. Robert Strecker, a practicing internist and gastroenterologist in Los Angeles. I have a special interest in pharmacology, pathology, and now AIDS. I became interested in the AIDS question several years ago in doing a health maintenance proposal, basically an insurance proposal, for Security Pacific Bank, a bank here in California.
What was Dr. Strecker's conclusion?
More and more members of the medical and research community, such as Dr. Peter Duesberg of the University of California at Berkeley, Dr. John Seal, a member of the Royal Society of Medicine of London, and Dr. Alan Cantwell, who has recently finished a third book on AIDS, this one on the origin of AIDS, are questioning the validity of the popular view about AIDS, which has failed to scientifically explain the disease. If you look at the genes of the AIDS virus, the genes of the AIDS virus don't look like monkeys. The genes of the AIDS virus, in every paper published to date, look like the following: bovine leukemia virus of cattle or Visna virus of sheep. Now, these are retroviruses of animals, and these viruses are known to cause brain rot in sheep and to cause leukemia of cattle. So, is it possible, it was my question, is it possible to cross these two viruses and make AIDS? Now, of course, if you go down and ask your local AIDS expert, is that possible? Most of them will probably lie and tell you, no, that's not possible, that's just nonsense.
Is there any other evidence to support the claim that AIDS did not come from the green monkey?